If you ever dreamed of living, working, and traveling in Canada, the International Experience Canada program, or IEC, is one of the best ways to make it happen. It's designed to be a straightforward process as long as you meet the eligibility criteria. But here's the thing. Every year we see people make completely avoidable mistakes that can delay their application or even cost them their chance at a work permit. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the most common IEC mistakes and, more importantly, how to avoid them. To keep things simple, we'll break it down into sections based on where you are in your IEC journey. So let's start with the mistakes that you should avoid before even applying for the IEC program. First up, not checking your passport's expiry date. Your IEC work permit is tied to your passport, so if your passport expires before your work permit will be shortened to match your passport's expiry date. Now, if this happens, don't stress, it can be fixed. As long as you still meet all IEC eligibility criteria, you may be able to apply for an extension after renewing your passport. But let's be honest, dealing with extra paperwork and processing time isn't exactly fun. So to avoid the hassle altogether, make sure your passport is valid for the full duration of your IEC work permit before applying. If your passport is already expiring soon, what you need to do next depends on where you are in the IEC process. If you're still in the IEC pool and haven't received an ITA yet, the fix is simple. Withdraw your profile and submit a new one with your updated passport details. Now, if you've already submitted your work permit application but haven't received your POE letter yet, you can send a scan of your new passport to IRCC along with your old passport number and application ID. But if you already have your POE letter, bring a photocopy of your old passport and explain the situation upon arrival in Canada. Another mistake is waiting too long to get your police certificates. Once you receive an invitation to apply, you have 10 days to accept it and 20 more days to submit your application. But some police certificates can take over a month to arrive, especially if you've lived in multiple countries for 6 months or more since turning 18. Now imagine accepting your ITA only to realize you still need to order your police certificate. You submit the request, but processing takes 6 weeks, well past your 20-day deadline. What happens next? Well, IRCC can extend the deadline if you provide proof that you've applied for your police certificate, but they will request it within weeks and set a strict deadline, usually 30 to 60 days to provide it. If you miss that deadline, your application will be refused, forcing you to restart the entire IEC process. Plus, the delay slows down processing, keeping you in limbo longer than necessary. The best way to avoid this? Get your police certificates in advance before you even receive an ITA. Now, if you're already in a tight spot, don't leave the section blank. Instead, upload proof that you've applied, like a receipt or confirmation email. The bottom line is to get your police certificates early to avoid unnecessary stress and delays. Next mistake is not checking your email regularly or forgetting to check your spam folder. IRCC sends all important updates via email, including your ITA, document requests, and application decisions. If you're not actively checking your inbox, or if an IRCC email accidentally lands in spam, you could miss a critical deadline without even realizing it. Imagine entering the IEC pool and assuming you'll check your email when something important happens. Meanwhile, your ITA lands in spam and you don't see it. Days go by and you're still waiting for an update until you finally log into your IRCC account and realize your invitation expired days ago. Now you've lost your chance and have to re-enter the pool, hoping for another ITA, but there's no guarantee you'll get one. The key takeaway? Check your email daily, especially once you're in the IEC pool. And to make sure you never miss an IRCC message, make sure to set up email notifications on your phone or desktop, regularly check your spam or junk folder, and whitelist IRCC's email address or mark previous messages as not spam. Now let's move on to the mistakes to avoid after receiving an ITA. First up is waiting until the very last minute to submit your IEC application. You might think, I have 20 days after accepting my ITA. I got plenty of time. But unexpected issues happen all the time, like your internet could go down, the IRCC website might crash, or a postal strike could delay your police clearance. Even if you manage to submit your application before the deadline, rushing through it increases the risk of making mistakes, like uploading the wrong document, forgetting a required file, or missing a crucial step. And if IRCC finds an issue, your application could be refused. So don't treat the deadline as your actual deadline. Instead, set a personal deadline 3 to 5 days earlier than the official one. as this gives you a buffer in case something unexpected happens. Now, the next common mistake is uploading the wrong or incomplete document when submitting your application. This happens more often than you'd think. You might be in a hurry to meet the deadline and accidentally upload only the first page of your police certificate instead of the entire document. Or you might submit blurry passport scans, use the wrong file format, or even forget to upload a required document altogether. In doing so, IRCC might reject your application outright or request additional documentation, which can delay your processing time. Imagine the frustration of realizing that a simple oversight, like missing a page, could force you to start over or miss crucial deadlines. The fix is simple. Take your time to review your application thoroughly and do it a couple more times to ensure everything is accurate and complete. Double check that each document is uploaded in the correct format, is clear and legible, and includes all the necessary pages. Now let's move on to the mistakes to avoid after your work permit is approved. Alright, so after getting your IEC work permit approved, you will receive a port of entry letter of introduction in your IRCC account. Once you have received it, this is also your signal to purchase IEC health insurance as recommended by IRCC. Now keep in mind that having health insurance is a mandatory requirement for the IEC program, and you must have valid coverage to enter Canada. Now, a mistake to avoid at this stage is not getting enough coverage. Many IEC participants assume that they can buy a short-term policy and extend it later, while others initially plan to stay only a few months, but later decide they want to stay longer. Now, the issue with both scenarios is that you cannot extend or top up your IEC insurance later. For example, if you were eligible for a 12-month work permit but only purchased 6 months of insurance, you would only receive a 6-month work permit. To avoid this costly mistake, make sure your IEC insurance policy covers the full work permit duration from the start. Even if you're unsure how long you'll stay, it's best to get a policy that covers your intended stay in Canada to give yourself the flexibility to extend your time if you choose to. And by the way, if you're currently looking for IEC insurance providers, we have some recommendations to help you get started. You will find a full list in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. But a few top providers include Bestco Travel Insurance and True Traveler. By the way, you can get a free quote from them, and you can also compare your options and get covered before arriving in Canada. Now, another mistake to avoid is not landing in Canada within 12 months of receiving your POE letter. As mentioned earlier, once your IEC work permit is approved, you'll receive a POE letter, which is a key document that allows you to enter Canada. This letter is valid for 12 months, meaning you must land in Canada within that period to activate your work permit. Now, some applicants delay their move strategically to wrap up commitments in their home. And while that makes sense, waiting too long can also be a costly mistake. To avoid this, calendarize your POE expiry date and plan your arrival well in advance. Don't wait until the very last moment, but instead, give yourself a buffer so unexpected delays don't put your IEC opportunity at risk. Finally, let's talk about the mistake to avoid if you've already landed in Canada. First up, not applying for a social insurance number in your first week in Canada. For those that don't know, you need to get your SIN before working in Canada, because without it, your employer can't pay you and you won't be able to file taxes properly. So apply for your social insurance number as soon as you land in Canada. You can do this at a Service Canada office with your passport and work permit. It's a quick process, and once you have your SIN, you're all set to start working without delays. Another mistake to avoid is not seeking skilled work. One of the biggest advantages of the working holiday visa under the IEC is that it's an open work permit, right? Meaning you're not restricted to one employer or job. But a common mistake that we see IEC participants make is taking any job that pays the bills without thinking about how it fits into their long-term goals. Now, if you're just here for the experience, that's totally fine. But if you're someone with long-term goals in Canada, having skilled work experience is necessary to qualify for future immigration applications. Given that your IEC participation lasts only 12, 24, or 36 months, depending on your country of citizenship, you'll want to unlock skilled work experience as soon as possible to help you qualify for other immigration pathways later. In conclusion, your IEC experience in Canada can be an exciting and life-changing opportunity, and avoiding the common mistakes I've mentioned will help you make the most of your time here. We hope you found this video helpful, and if you're looking for more IEC related resources, we put together a list in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. Also, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with a friend. All the best on your IEC journey, and we'll see you in the next video.